biggest race I've won. Well, the biggest, speaking about the Rolex 24, I haven't had the privilege of winning, but I've been on the podium, finished third it with Mazda back in the GT car days. So, which is still a very, very popular class. So, that was probably one of my most memorable results. Although I'd say biggest win in recent years was a few years back, winning the IMSA championship in the Michelin Pilot Series with an Audi TCR class car, and we won 6 races out of the 10 that year. It was an incredible season, and ended up winning the championship. And yeah, a lot of good memories from that season.
Amazing. That's like Richard Petty when he won 27 races in one of his championship years a little bit.
Yeah, it's amazing to think about Richard Petty. Another childhood favorite of mine is just how many races he won over the course of his career. It's just he's a legend.
Yeah, he definitely is. And he's with Legacy Motor Club, I think, as an ambassador. So it's fitting that he would work with Jimmy Johnson on it.
Agreed. Absolutely.
So, what's your funniest memory in racing?
Oh man, funniest memory. Well, I'd say it depends on who the joke was on. If it was on me, I would say going back to maybe that Jeff Gordon comment from earlier. So we ended up having contact on track, and he was in the car. I was in the car at the time, and it wasn't a big altercation, but it resulted in a spin and continue. And I'd say it was one of those like, what the heck happened with that? And I was like, yeah, that was Gordon in the car. And it was just like kind of, I guess the joke was on me because I was the one that ended up spinning. So it was just one of those like, go figure, right? So not so funny at the time, but looking back at it, you can laugh about that.
Yeah. Have you ever intentionally wrecked someone in a race or no?
I wouldn't say wrecked somebody, taking them out of the race, but definitely when it's some close quarters racing and you might move somebody over, give them a little extra nudge, and or I would say use 8 tires instead of just your four to get through a corner. Yeah, that happens from time to time.
Yeah. What's your favorite racing movie out of all the ones you've seen?
Ooh, favorite racing. I mean, immediately I go back to a classic, Days of Thunder. 100%. That's just there's so many good one-liners out of that movie that you got to appreciate. So I would say Days of Thunder, but it's been remarkable how many new racing movies have been coming out over the past several years, and really good ones. So even my non-racing friends, neighbors, are asking me about these movies, and it's incredible to have that much motorsport influence in the mainstream.
That's amazing. I would agree. They had Grand Prix, they had Days of Thunder, Talladega Nights, and there's a lot of classics.
Absolutely, and I think some of these new ones, Ford versus Ferrari, that'll be a classic. There'll be others, but yeah, these new movies, the Ferrari movie that's recently come out, and even Gran Turismo. I mean, I can't believe the amount of non-motorsport folks who have gone to see the movie just to see what it's all about, what the hype's about.
Yeah. You know the movie Cars, where they have all those names that are car oriented for each character? I can picture some celebrities like Arnold Schwarzenegger or Truck Norris, or even better, Chevy Chase.
Good. Those are
Yeah,
good.
have you
Yeah.
ever thought about?
I mean, with young kids, they love the movie Cars and Lightning McQueen, and the creativity through that series of movies is unbelievable. It is truly remarkable.
Yeah, and then they had Paul Newman, I think, in it as Doc Hudson, and he was a big icon in racing.
Certainly, Certainly, yeah. Well, a lot of the area that I grew up in the Northeast U.S. Lime Rock Park was a staple of that area of the country, and he did a lot of racing there. Yeah, a lot of successful racing, and yeah, I mean, he's kind of like the predecessor to a Patrick Dempsey, if you will, as far as the movie actor, racer, and kind of has it all, right? So.
Yeah. I remember on the weekend in Nashville when I met Penske, a few minutes before I was on the stadium looking at the Indy cars through my binoculars, and I caught a glimpse of Mario Andretti in the pits. And if I remember right, I think I saw Joanne Woodward, Newman's widow, but she was in a wheelchair at the time. She's now in her 90s, I think.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't meet Mario, but getting that close to him and seeing him through the binoculars, you're like, man, that's the greatest race driver who ever lived.
And it's incredible watching him. He still drives from time to time. He'll do the two-seater IndyCar rides. He'll give rides in those. Yeah, it's amazing. He's still fit enough and mentally there to be able to do that. It's amazing.
Yeah, for sure. And his son Michael's now about to enter F1 if things play out the way they're supposed to.
It'll be a second time there. I remember when he had a short Formula One career as well as a driver, right?
Yeah, he had a short one and then he came back to Indy cars. And Michael actually thinks that, and I would probably agree that if he were in Nigel Mansell's car in 1993 at Indy, he would have won the 500 that year.
There's a lot to do with that. I mean, you have to be the best at your game, but also the team component, the car component. There's a lot of other factors in motorsports that sometimes it's your day and sometimes it's not.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. What's your favorite track you've raced on and describe racing on it?
Mm, yeah, there is an incredible amount of circuits. I haven't been all around the world, been to several countries to fortunate enough to race in those, but US based, I would say my favorite track is probably Watkins Glen up in upstate New York. And the reason is not only just the surrounding area is just gorgeous, especially in the summertime, just the Finger Lakes and the mountains around the area. But the track itself is it's incredible because it has so much history. It has Formula One history, although it was a slightly different iteration of the track then, but incredible amount of history. And in the lap is just through these rolling hills, constant elevation, very high speed, and honestly, not a lot of room for error because the guardrail is very close to the track, pretty much all the way around. But when you get a lap there done right, it feels so good. It's so fast, it's banked, so you get extra grip through the corners. It's a great racing track as far as racing other cars. There's good passing opportunities. For me, it's that's the track. But I'd say I'm fortunate, being in the Charlotte area to live very close to a lot of other great tracks. For instance, like VIR. That's another classic. Road Atlanta as well. So lots of tracks near home that are special as well.